Well, hello. The hills were beckoning, and the sky was so blue today, and everything was so green and fragrant. I had to be a part of it. And now you're here, a part of it too. Welcome back to Season 2 of the Reaction Shot Podcast. Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. Podcasting is among a few of my favorite things. I am so happy to be here in this new season with you, the listeners. So much has happened since Season 1, and I couldn't be happier. One of the biggest things to make note of is I am officially a part of the You Run Podcast Network, a network jam-packed with some amazing creators with a wide range of podcast topics. So, hop on over to the You Run Podcast webpage, that's yourunpodcast.com, and check out all the other amazing talents that are featured. There's one in particular that I'd like to point out today, and that's the Horror Friendly Podcast, a show that explores the horror genre and wine through the female eye, one film at a time. Your charismatic and knowledgeable hosts, Katie and Chantel, explore the horror genre with a drink in hand, discussing horror films, all the way from classics to the more modern. The Horror Friendly Podcast is your new booze-filled horror podcast go-to, part of the You Run Podcast Network. You can find them wherever you listen to your podcast, or at yourunpodcast.com. That's yourunpodcast.com. Go check them out. Now, let's get into Season 2, Episode 8 of the Reaction Shot Podcast, with a POV on the sound of music. And now, let me leave you with this from the movie. Doe, a deer, a female deer. Ray, a drop of golden sun. Me, a name I call myself. Far, a long, long way to go. So, a needle pulling thread. La, a note to follow, so. Tea, a drink with jam and bread. That will bring us back to... Well, I feel like I should just bite the bullet and sing this. Yeah, all right. I'm ready to belt it out. Okay. Here we go. All right. On the count of 3. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. Hi everyone. I'm Dave and I love movies. So, welcome to my podcast, The Reaction Shot. In each episode, I'll dive deep into a movie of any genre that holds a special place in my heart. But here's the twist. I bring on a guest who has never seen that movie before, until now. We discuss, dissect, and review from pre to post-production to behind-the-scenes stories and well into its impact on pop culture. Will we agree on everything, or will we have wildly different views? Thanks for hitting play. Let's roll tape and find out. Fade in. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Reaction Shot Podcast. I'm your host, Dave.
Whoa. What are you doing, Dave?
Doing my intro. What's up?
Remember, I'm the host today.
You're hosting.
Yeah.
Okay. What are we doing? What?
Are you serious? We've talked about this. The Sound of Music, Dave.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's why you made me watch that movie for the first time.
Yes.
Interesting.
The Sound of Music. The hills are alive today, Dave.
You're gonna make me want to sing.
I know.
I'm probably not gonna sing because no one wants to be listening to anything like that. I promise.
Okay. All right. Well, as I just said, we are talking about The Sound of Music. Easily one of the most heartwarming, treasured movies of all history of all of time.
Wait, we're doing Election again?
No, no. We are never doing that movie again.
Oh, okay. Well, shit.
I'm never
All right,
watching
yeah.
that movie again. Never. Yeah. Not even.
All right, so
Anything.
The Sound of Music. Okay. Gotcha.
Yes.
All right, I'm in the
Yes.
game. I'm in the game.
The best movie, aka the best movie of all time. I'm
Almost
curious,
Famous.
Dave. No.
Oh,
Dave,
okay, I'm sorry. The Sound of
no.
Music. Okay. All right, I'm in it, Lauren. Let's go.
The Sound of Music. Yes.
Okay.
The best, most heartwarmingest, most beloved, classic movie of all time. I'm curious, Dave, what is your history with The Sound of Music?
Oh, geez. Okay, my history of The Sound of Music is, I remember growing up, my aunt absolutely loved The Sound of Music. I think a lot of people in my family did, but I vividly remember my aunt. So I would always be at her house, and she would have The Sound of Music on, and I'd watch here and there. I would pick up on different songs. I was familiar with things, but I never really sat down to watch the film as a whole. But when I was in high school, we did musicals, and one year we decided to do The Sound of Music, and I was so excited to. I was like, okay, this is a movie. Like, I knew it as a movie. I wasn't really into musicals or Broadway and all those things. So this was a movie to me. We were doing the musical, so I auditioned for it. I wanted to be Captain Von Trapp. And,
Is that who you auditioned for?
no. So we kind of did like general auditions. It wasn't necessarily specific types of people. So but I went in there and I'm like, I'm absolutely going to be the leading man because duh. I'm just kidding. But so I went in there and I auditioned, and I might have shared this story before, but now that we're doing The Sound of Music, it all comes full circle. So I did the audition. We had to do acting and singing, and my choir teacher, who always directed the musicals, looked at me, and I'll never forget this. And she said, "You are an exceptional actor, but a horrible singer." Horrible singer. So, there went my ego, and to let everyone know, I did not get Captain Von Trapp. I got a party goer and a Nazi, so that's cool.
So she actually said to you, you were a horrible singer, like quote unquote. She said horrible singer to a child.
Yeah, I mean that's how my brain remembers it. Maybe it was not a very good singer or one of the worst singers that she has ever heard in her entire life. But yeah, we'll stick with horrible.
So how was your experience playing a party goer and a Nazi?
I'll be honest with you. I had a good time doing the musical. I got to learn the music from a different perspective, of course, and I got to watch 16 going on 17 being performed by two people that I was actually friends with, and it was kind of cool. It was kind of a cool moment. I actually, out of the 4 musicals we did in high school, that was probably my favorite one that I did. So that's my history with it. As I mentioned, I never really sat down and watched the film. It was never really my cup of tea. I've mentioned before as well. I don't hate musicals. I just don't I don't actively seek out musicals. If I end up watching them, I either absolutely love them or I absolutely despise them. So
Yeah. So safe to say this was like the first time seeing this movie all the way through, basically.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, definitely safe to say from start to finish, absolutely my first time.
I'm so curious to what you think. Well, my history is a little bit different.
Okay.
I grew up watching this movie. I can't even remember the first time I even watched this movie because it's just been something I've watched for so long. My sister and I are literally obsessed with it. We'll put it on and like sing the songs and like, it's like a family movie. I watch it with like my mom and my dad and my sister, and my dad will always be like, "Oh, this again," but then we're all singing by the end together.
Oh, you're like a modern day Von Trapp family.
We're like the little Von Trapp family, yeah.
So cute.
So I love this movie. It's easily, and this doesn't give anything away because I think I've talked about this movie so many times on this podcast when you make me watch horror films.
You do. You
But
always
it's
bring it up,
easily
and
one of my
that's why I have Art the
yeah.
Clown in the background, so you don't
Yes.
forget where this podcast
Dave.
came from. Just kidding.
Yeah, Dave has Christmas Time, Art the Clown, behind him right now. So we're talking about one of the most heartwarming movies, feel-good movies of all time, and I'm staring at Art the Clown in a Santa hat. So that's fun.
That is
Thank you,
heartwarming.
Dave.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So a
Yeah.
little bit about this movie, give you some stats. The screenplay was written by Ernest Lehman and based on the 1949 memoir, The Story of the Trapp Family Singers by Maria von Trapp. So it's loosely based on a true story. It's not like all the way true. It's, but it's based on that memoir.
Can I say that I actually had no idea that this was based on somewhat of a true story? That there was a book. I
Oh,
didn't know any of
really?
that until probably a week ago. Yeah.
So you just thought this was some made up thing,
Yeah. I
like
thought Rogers and Hammerstein was just
random
like, yo,
musical
let's
with
write
no.
this story. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Mind
Wow.
blown.
Dave.
Hmm.
I bet. I bet. And obviously this film was adapted from the stage musical composed by Richard Rogers and Oscar Hammerstein, and it's directed by Robert Weiss. So, some box office things. It was released on March 2nd, 1965 with a limited release. And there were some mixed reviews at first. Some people called it like sticky sweet, like overly like cheesy, those kind of
Sure.
things. But it released in theaters all across the U.S. And within 4 weeks, it was the number one movie and the highest grossing film of 1965,
Hell
which is
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, that
And
is
this
awesome.
was kind of interesting. It was in the theaters in the U.S. It ran for 4.5 years. Can you even imagine that
Whoa.
today? Like movies are
Uh,
in maybe 2 months.
I think back in the day, they definitely had way longer theatrical runs, but obviously we were born in the 80s, and when we started watching films,
Yeah.
probably late 80s, early 90s, I think some of the longest films were in theaters for just about a year. So I feel like that was pretty standard, but to hear you said 4.5 years? That's
4.5
insane.
years. And even a year sounds crazy to me now. Because
Hmm.
they're like 2 months and it's done, I swear. So by 1966, November, The Sound of Music was the highest grossing film of all time, Dave, all time.
Mm.
And it held the title for 5 years, even surpassing Gone with the Wind, which is another
Wow.
classic movie. Yeah. So highest grossing film, 5 years, which is crazy.
That actually is pretty crazy. That's pretty awesome that a film like this held such a prestigious thing back then. That's pretty awesome,
I think
for
it's
real.
like because it's one of those movies that anyone could watch, It's not just,
Sure.
horror or, it's like a family movie. So I think that's
Hmm.
why you could, take your kids to go and see it. You could go on a date to see it. Like it's just kind of like a universal film.
Yeah, it's easily accessible.
Yes, easily accessible. Yeah. So budget for this film was 8.2 million and it grossed over $286.2 million worldwide.
Damn.
So when you say highest grossing film of 1965 and then the highest grossing film of all time, in 1965, that's a chunk of change.
That really is, especially with the budget being what it was too. I didn't expect to actually hear that number. For some reason, I was
Yeah.
thinking you were gonna say like $2 million at most. So
Yeah,
damn.
8.2. It was filmed in a combination of Austria, so A lot of the scenes you see are like Austria, Salzburg, and then some of the other scenes were filmed in an LA studio. So the 16 going on 17 scene was filmed in a studio because they couldn't get the lighting quite right. And then at the end, when we'll talk about this, one of my favorite scenes is when Captain Von Trapp and Maria finally get together and they sing that song to each other called Something Good. That scene as well is also filmed in a studio.
Okay. Okay.
But I was actually really shocked at some of these like stats on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. So Rotten Tomatoes rated an 83%, which for me I feel like is kind of low. I don't know.
That is low because I feel like even when it came out, if it did have mixed reviews, it seems as though in today's world, The Sound of Music is held at a very high regard for musical films. So I'm actually shocked about that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. IMDb 8.1 out of 10 and Letterboxd 4.2 out of 5, which is, I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to me. I don't know. Maybe it's me.
What did you say Internet Movie Database was?
8.1 out of 10.
That's pretty good though, because I do feel like Internet Movie Database is where all the clowns and trolls come out to play and like to like tear movies down for shits and giggles. That's good for Internet Movie Database, but yeah, it definitely seems a little low for the others.
Seems so low. Obviously in this movie, they did like a live action version like 10 years ago, I think, with Carrie Underwood. Didn't watch it. Don't mess with perfection, you know?
There's no lie that she's a great singer. However, I cannot envision her playing the role. I'm assuming she's Maria, right?
She is, and for as good of it, like, it's like the opposite of you. She's like a great singer, but not a good actress.
Damn you, Carrie.
I know.
Oh, if only we could combine.
Like, Julie Andrews is like a global treasure to me, and just her acting and singing, it just is amazing. So it's hard for me to see anyone else in that role. And the acting was very, very forced in that live action.
Yeah, I don't think that I'd like to give that a try, honestly.
No,
I don't think I would enjoy it at all. Mm-mm.
No. All right. Well, let's move on to some reactions. What did you find when you were scouring the internet, Dave? Do you have some good reviews, bad reviews? What did you find?
All right. So I do have a couple. Mm-hmm. So one of them is from Stevie GB, mm-hmm. Stevie GB from Internet Movie Database. Uh-huh. The review is titled The Horror. The review says, terrible, sticky, gooey mess. Yeah. I'm 34 now, and maybe one day I'd like this film, but I very much doubt it. When I was young, I used to picture the audience for this film as slightly deaf old women in surgical stockings and bad hats. And my attitude still holds. No, you say, it's good old-fashioned entertainment with humble tunes. No, I reply, it's crap. I don't care how many people have seen it and liked it. A lot of people saw and liked Hitler too. A film of hidden shallows, but a good way of torturing teenage boys for a couple of hours.
God, what? I feel attacked.
Yeah, I do have a couple more. So another one was from Keldon Ames, and this was on Letterboxd, and he said, "It's not a bad movie, but I was forced to watch this way too much as a child. 1 star." That's not a review.
That's not a review.
It just sounds like your parents are trying to get you to like movies.
Good. What did he say at the beginning? Okay movie or something?
Not a bad movie, but I was forced to watch this way too much. Yeah.
So why why give it a 1 star? It's not a
That
bad
this is the
movie.
shit that I talk. This is the shit I talk about, guys. You're dragging movies ratings down just because your parents tried to get you to enjoy musical cinema when you were a child. It's not. It's
Yeah.
not anyone's fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have another 1 star. This one is from Havology, which is also on Letterboxd.
Mm-hmm.
I've never actually finished this movie because I have only seen it in my musical class in elementary school, but because this shit is so long, I have never seen the end. I think the furthest I ever made it was intermission, and that's when I turned it off because I thought this movie was almost over so many times. So when I saw that this movie had a fucking intermission, I was done.
God.
So dramatic.
These are brutal. Like, and that's not even. It kills me, Dave.
Okay,
Kills me.
I got one more for you, Lauren. This one's
Okay.
leaning into your territory here.
Okay.
We have
Perfect.
we have 4.5 stars from a girl named Abnormal, but Ab as in Abby, so ABB normal. So clever, love you,
Gotcha.
Abby.
Mm-hmm.
She says, and this is on Letterboxd as well. It's a million years long, but it's truly a masterpiece. Songs that hold up, charisma holds up, lighting is so gorgeous. Next time I see a helicopter, I'm gonna twirl and twirl.
Aren't we all, girl?
I mean, same.
Interesting fact about that scene: she was almost knocked over many times trying to film that scene.
Oh,
They had to film it a bunch.
so she's out. So she, so she's out there twirling around, singing to
Rolling
the hills,
around.
praising
Yeah.
their sounds of music, and she's just blowing over.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Yeah, it took them.
How many times did it take to film?
I can't remember. I think I read 20.
20
20.
times, and
20.
she's just like,
Yeah.
wow, wow.
Yeah.
That's a fun fact right there. I'm just now every time I see that scene, I'm just gonna picture her like be in the middle of a note and just blowing over down, rolling down the hill, hitting every high note on the roll down
The hills are alive. Such a good song. Such a good song.
with the sound of music. That was her falling over, by the way.
Yes, yes. Well, I have one from Dennis 4004, and it's entitled Every Year at Grandma's. So he says, when I was a kid, the only movie my grandmother owned, the only movie, was The Sound of Music. And every time we went there, we saw that awful movie. This movie really sucked, especially when you're a kid that enjoys Star Wars. I'm here to tell you, I'm going to interrupt Dennis 4004 for a second, that you can enjoy both Sound of Music and Star Wars. Because I do. Okay. Okay.
That's true. That's true.
Um, he continues, I think that everybody on this planet has a grandma or grandpa that loves that movie. In the sake for all children, don't show that awful movie anymore to us. We hate it. It's not cool, and the music sucks. It's not that I don't like musicals, but this was so corny and crappy that I can never watch it ever again. Why do people like this movie so much? Can anyone tell me that? What's so special about this movie that it gets the ranks it gets on this fantastic site? I want to understand. So please help me. Ominous ending there.
Oh my god, I feel like he needs some therapy. That's where the help needs to be. Oh my god.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
I'm so angry. Yeah.
So angry. So my next one is going to be pretty shocking. Okay. So my next review is actually Christopher Plummer, who plays Captain Von Trapp. He says about filming this film, I was a bit bored with the role, and in his autobiography, he calls it The Sound of Mucus. I'm not even kidding. Can you? That broke my heart. Broke my
What an
heart,
icon.
Dave. Christopher Plummer, who I
Oh.
love in this movie, said The Sound of Mucus.
The hills are alive with the sound of mucus.
Makes
Oh,
me
give this
cry.
guy some Mucinex.
Obviously, Christopher Plummer. I'm going to go through the cast of characters. Christopher Plummer plays Captain Von Trapp, Georg. it's the other people who are actually considered for this role were Bing Crosby, Yul Brynner, Sean Connery, and Richard Burton, which is interesting to me.
Yeah.
Christopher Plummer was a stage actor, so he didn't have the kind of movie success that like a Bing Crosby did. And Sean Connery, can you imagine?
Okay, I can hear his voice right now. Just be like, "Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, Captain." I can't even mock his voice. So
I know.
particular.
So particular. We have the iconic Julie Andrews as Maria. There was a list the director had for people he wanted to play Maria. Julie Andrews was at the top, but he also considered Grace Kelly and Shirley Jones, which is no one else can play this role for me. So
No,
chose right.
no. I like Grace Kelly, but I will definitely talk about Julie Andrews because I definitely feel like she's perfect for this,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. So rounding out this cast, we have Eleanor Parker as the Baroness Elsa von Schrader, Richard Hayden, who plays Uncle Max, Max Detweiler, Peggy Wood, who plays the Mother Abbess, Daniel Truhitta, who plays Rolf, yucky Rolf. And then the children, we have Charmian Carr as Liesel, Nicholas Hammond as Friedrich, Heather Menzies as Louisa, Dwayne Chase as Kurt, Angela Cartwright as Brigitte, Debbie Turner as Marta, and Kim Karath as Gretel. By the way, Brigitte is like literally one of my favorite names ever. I love that name.
I will say, don't quiz me on the names of these people because the whole movie I'm like, huh? What? That's a name?
Really?
I don't know why. I don't know if
They're
there's
not
just because
that.
there's seven crazy ass children. Maybe that's why I'm just like, children.
I mean, the main one's really the only one who really has any sort of outside storyline is Liesel, the
Yeah.
oldest. You caught on to that with Rolf, the
Oh yeah.
shithead.
The shithead Rolf.
To say shithead, the shithead Rolf.
Oh
Yeah, so
yeah,
she's really
shithead.
the only one who has kind of like an outside storyline. That's
Sure.
not just like singing around Salzburg, you know?
Yeah. Lauren, I will say you can say shithead. This is an R-rated podcast, and I know it's a G-rated movie, but how do you say his name? Rolf.
Rolf, yeah, Rolf.
Okay. Yeah, he's an asshole. He's a dipshit.
He's he's so stupid. I can't even with him. I can't.
Dumb.
Whatever. Stupid
Ugh.
Rolf. I actually have this playing in the background right now while we're recording this on mute. And it's the 16 going on 17 song. And I'm like, oh, he was so sweet in this. And then he had to become a freaking Nazi.
What a fucking dark.
Ah. All right, Dave, I'm curious about your 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Did you do Julie Andrews?
Yeah. Okay, this is gonna sound really stupid. So
Mm-hmm.
when we were talking about doing this, I was like, man, are we gonna be able to even do any of these actors with Kevin Bacon? And I don't know why this movie just seems so much older to me than 1965. Not like watching the film itself, but just like the idea of the film and where it exists in pop culture. To me, it's like Wizard of Oz old. Does that make sense?
It's not that old, Dave.
No. I know it's not that old, but for some odd reason, like in my mind, I just feel like maybe because the movie takes place in the 30s, I always assume like
Yes,
the movie came out in the 30s.
that makes
So
sense.
so thinking of it, I'm just like, oh my god, do any of these people even know who Kevin Bacon is? But it's obviously there's several people that have connections with Kevin Bacon. So,
Yeah.
um, so Lauren chose Julie Andrews, who you guys might know as the lead character in The Sound of Music,
Mm-hmm.
and my 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon for Julie Andrews is Julie Andrews is in The Sound of Music. She
Mm-hmm.
is also starring alongside Steve Carell in Despicable Me. And Steve Carell starred in a
Oh,
movie that I did here on the podcast called Crazy Stupid Love with Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon was in Crazy Stupid Love.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Mine's
Surprise.
longer.
That's okay.
So long.
That's okay. Let's see
Okay.
where
So
we
we have
go.
Julie Andrews. Yeah, Julie Andrews in The Sound of Music, who was in The Princess Diaries with Anne Hathaway, who was in Ocean's 8 with George Clooney, who was in Morning Glory with Diane Keaton, who was in Family Stone with Sarah Jessica Parker, who was in Footloose with Kevin Bacon.
Wait, Lauren. Okay. You obviously have a theme going on where you always have to connect
I
it to Footloose.
do.
So I think any episode that we do, it'll be 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, but it has to end at Footloose no matter how long it is, because that is fantastic. I would have never made it that far. So
I
but it's good.
have to. I
It's
now that
fair.
I've now that I have I don't know why, but like there's more people in Footloose than Sarah Jessica Parker, but I always just choose her.
I mean,
Always.
Sarah Jessica Parker has a good track record of films and stuff, so you definitely, yeah, you can find the connections if you take some time with it. So I love that we always end up with Footloose. So that's a good job.
Yes.
Good job, Lauren.
Yes, yes,
Hell
yes,
yeah.
yes. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to get
Uh
your rating
oh, oh, my
of the
rating.
movie.
What are we rating?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
the
movie,
movie.
Dave.
All right.
I
Well,
want to hear it. Tell me.
I guess it's time for the reactions of
The
your
reaction.
host Lauren and
Hmm.
your guest host Dave. It's so weird being in the sidecar here. So I watched the movie from
Uh-huh.
beginning to end,
Yeah.
and I read some things, and I let it sit with me.
Hmm.
I spent most of my day talking about it at work today.
You did?
I did. I had to talk. I had to talk it out, and I think by talking it out at work today, it was like a way for me to really break down how I felt about the movie.
Okay.
So I gave it.
Oh boy.
Did you hear that?
No, I didn't. Say it again.
Oh man, it must have cut out. So I gave it a.
Dave.
Oh, sorry. Oh man, for some reason everything just keeps cutting out. It's so
You're
weird.
killing me. You're killing me.
All
Tell
right,
me.
I didn't give it a 1.
You gave it a 2?
No, I didn't give it a 2 either.
Tell me you didn't give it a 0.
I didn't give it a 0. I didn't give it a 10 either.
Are you going to make me guess?
No, I'll tell you. I gave it a 5.
5. Ugh.
Yeah.
I feel like just real quick take the knife out of my heart.
Oh, hold on, it's stuck in there. Okay.
Yeah, break it down
I
for me.
I gave it a 5 out of 10. So it puts it smack in the middle, obviously, of the rating. I don't I it's a good movie. It's not a bad movie. It's a little too cutesy cookie cutter for me.
Yeah.
Again, that doesn't make it a bad movie. So I'm going to keep stressing it's not a bad movie. In my opinion, since I am rating the film, it's a little bit too cutesy for me. That doesn't have a
Hmm.
lot of edge to it. And I think based on a lot of the movies that everyone knows I enjoy, I definitely like a little bit of edge. I don't mind family films. I don't mind G-rated films. It's not about that stuff. It's just there could have been a lot of like antagonist type things happening, and where there is, it never really goes there. It's almost like it's once it gets to the point of really getting a little bit honest about things, I feel like it pulls back a little bit. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Uh,
And that's a lot of the same critiques that people had when it was like had its limited release. Those mixed reviews.
yeah, and the time of the film, the late 30s, and obviously the subplot with the Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
So there could have been a lot of crazy stuff that could have came from that, and I'm not saying that I wanted to see that per se, but one of my biggest things I want to focus on when it comes to the antagonist type role is, what's her name? Elsa, the Baroness Elsa.
Yeah, Baroness von Trader.
So she, to me, the character is insanely underdeveloped and way too casual with how things play out. I almost thought there was going to be some tension, some, side eyeing, and she just kind of, she was like, "Oh, there, you guys have feelings. Well, go be happy." And I get it. Maybe in a character study type of way, maybe she really did just have an idea the entire time, so it was very easy for her to just be like, "Eh." But I feel like we missed out on there being some excitement with a storyline there. I also don't mind lengths of movies. I'm not one of those people who are like, I'm not watching that movie. It's so long. I did see the runtime of 3 hours. Didn't scare me away. I don't think the movie is too long, but I think there are things that happen in the movie that are too long. We could have been given other things to fill up the time that we're given. Does that make sense too?
Yeah. I get it.
And then my long-winded review. I'm so sorry. The cinematography is amazing. Julie Andrews is awesome. She does such a good job. We'll get more into that. I think to me, a lot of my 5 out of 10 comes from pacing and story elements that happen. I will say that I think some of the songs, even though they're all great, I think some of the songs are way too long. I'm like, oh my God, go to bed.
Oh, wait, the So Long Farewell? Are you kidding?
No, but that's a great song. Like, I know that song so well, and as it was happening in the movie, I'm like, okay, go the fuck to sleep.
Oh, Dave. I think a lot of the, obviously we'll get to my review in a minute, but I think a lot of it for me is nostalgia because I grew up watching it. Like I said, I can't even remember the first time I watched it. So I definitely look at this film with like rose-colored glasses on for sure. And I know I do. So, yeah.
But you know what? That's a very common thing. There are definitely movies that I love that even I watch nowadays where I'm like, ooh, why do I love this movie so much? It's not that good, but I love it. And because they're so symbolic of, our childhood memories, you and your family watching it together and singing the songs. Even you saying your dad was like, oh, not this movie again. But by the end of it, he's singing 16 going on 17 and loving every second of it. So I 100% get that. Those rose-colored glasses are definitely on for some movies, and I really, honestly, truly see why this is a movie that people love. I see why this is a movie that you love. I don't want to take away from the fact that it is a good movie. Its impact on pop culture is absolutely insane. I could sit here and just name a couple of things that reference. There's a line on Friends, and I don't know why it's always in my head where I don't even know what's happening in the scene. I don't remember. There's a scene on Friends, which everyone knows is my favorite. And Chandler goes,
Yes.
"Oh, the hills are alive with the sound of music." And that's how he says it. And I don't know why, it just sticks in my head. And, Phoebe doing favorite things.
Yeah.
And Ted Lasso did something in its last season, or the most recent season, honoring the sound of music. And it's everywhere. Down to like very small details. I remember in Moulin Rouge, them singing "The Hills Are Alive" with the sound of music, and just the references galore. And I'm sure there's a list of 9,000 other things that are way more prominent. Those things I just said, but those are the things that stick out to me right at this moment in time because it is a very important film in history. It's a very important film in musical history. So I get why people love it. I give it a 5. I don't hate it, but I don't know if it's a movie that I'm going to be throwing on all the time to be like, let's watch this movie and sing along. But it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's funny because like I was talking to my sister about, I'm doing the podcast tonight and I'm like, do you have anything you want to add or, whatever? And she was like, I haven't seen it since January. I'm like, Claire, that was 3 months ago.
Oh my gosh, how is she surviving?
And the last time I watched it was in February, and I didn't rewatch it because I've seen it so many times and I just watched it in February that I'm like, I don't need to rewatch this because it's ingrained in my memory.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But that being said, I give this movie obviously a 10 out of 10.
What?
Yeah, I know.
What?
Shocking.
Oh my
Shocking. And
God.
it's
Huh.
interesting that you say it comes up so much in like pop culture. Just I feel like a lot of people feel the same way about this movie that I do. And when you say it's like not your type of movie, it's definitely my type of movie. I like the
Mhm.
stickiness. I like the gooiness. It warms my heart. It makes me cry every time I watch it, even though I've seen it 5 billion times. I just I love it. Yeah. So
Good.
10 out of 10 for me.
10 out of 10 for Lauren.
10 out of 10.
I love that. I mean, I knew you were going to give it a 10 out of 10, and
Yeah.
it definitely earns that, especially for, the things that you do love about movies and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I definitely see it earning that 10 from you and from a lot of people. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that we're doing this episode because I mainly introduce movies to you and other people that I absolutely love. And I get to hear like all different kinds of sides of everything. I love pop culture and all that stuff. Part of me wants to be like, oh, I love this movie and I want to watch it every year and sing along and have
Mm-hmm.
family get-togethers. And I I don't feel that way, but I really do get it. So I'm glad that we're
Yeah.
having this conversation just so we can see both sides of our
We're
reactions.
expanding our horizons.
Expanding our horizons. I love it.
Yeah.
Growth.
Yes. All right. So I'm going to go into a little synopsis of the movie just in case anyone
Ooh.
hasn't seen it.
Mhm.
So we have the main character, Maria, who is kind of a wild child. She's always singing, getting into mischief at the abbey where she's trying to be a nun. So some might say this is the wrong career path for her, but we'll get to that. So the mother abbess sends Maria to be the governess of 7 children for a widowed, uptight, and strict naval officer. When she arrives, she is met with a captain and his 7 children, who are known to kind of rebel, and they drive out a long string of governesses before her. So they play pranks on her, and she's not deterred. She gains their confidence during a storm when Liesel, the oldest daughter, sneaks through her window after a rendezvous with dumbass Rolf, the telegram boy. The kids trickle in one by one and seek comfort from the storm, and she covers for Liesel, gaining her trust as well. The captain is away in Vienna, visiting his girlfriend, the Baroness von Schrader, and Maria teaches the children to sing, which has not been a part of their household since their mother passed away. So that's kind of why the captain is very strict. Anything music reminds him of her, so he kind of forbids the music playing. So the captain is furious upon his arrival back when he finds the kids have been playing in public, wearing refashioned drapes and singing all in Salzburg. But he ultimately has a change of heart when he hears the kids sing. The kids also charm the Baroness and their Uncle Max with a song. First he's angry, but then he thanks Maria for bringing music back into their lives and announces his engagement to the Baroness. So they host a ball, and during this ball, the captain introduces the Baroness to his friends. Conflict arises when the acquaintances of the captain express support for an imminent takeover of Austria by Nazi Germany, which the captain is against. During an impromptu dance between Maria and the captain, it is evident that there's chemistry between the two of them. And after an encounter with the Baroness, Maria flees back to the abbey, where she confesses her love for the captain to the mother abbess. The captain breaks off his engagement after Maria returns as governess by the urging of the mother abbess. They marry and go on a month-long honeymoon, and upon his arrival back, he receives a telegram demanding that he take up posts to a German naval base. Unbeknownst to the captain and Maria, Max has entered the children in a music festival and uses this cover as a way to hatch a plan to escape Austria and Nazi Germany. The family wins the festival, but have already escaped and are seeking refuge in the abbey. When Rolf, dumbass, discovers the family, the captain outwits him so his family can escape, with the help of the nuns who slash the tires of the Nazis as well. And they escape over the mountains to Switzerland into freedom. And that is The Sound of Music in a nutshell. There's a lot more to
it. Oh man, I told my bartender today, I think there's gonna be some singing on the show tonight. Probably. I think that definitely touched on all the important things that happen in the movie. So having seen it for the first time from beginning to end, you definitely hit the mark on everything. I do have to say something really funny. When I first started watching it, I was actually at the gym and I was on the treadmill. So I was like, I'm gonna start watching The Sound of Music. Yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna start watching The Sound.
Sit down. Get any distractions out of the way and pay attention.
So this is where I first started watching it, and I got to the scene where they're meeting Maria for the first time, and that whistle in my ear on the AirPods was murdering my ears. Like, I literally wanted to jump through that screen and knock that whistle out of that man's hand for 10 different reasons.
Oh God.
Sorry.
No,
that out.
That's a funny scene to me. I think Maria, like, kind of she's unknowingly like teasing him a little bit, and he's not having it. Having it when she takes the whistle and like blows it at him, and she's like, "Well, sorry, I don't know what to call you." He goes, "You may call me Captain." I just die every time because it's hilarious.
I do like that scene for the simple fact that when she takes that whistle from him and is like, what do I call you when she blows the whistle? I do like that. It's, it's showing you how ridiculous that she thinks him doing that is, because it is definitely degrading. Yeah.
Yeah, so degrading and ridiculous. And but can we talk about how sexy Christopher Plummer is when he says, "You may call me Captain"?
Well, let me say this.
Yes.
I feel as though if we're going to talk performances, I do feel like how you told me in his autobiography, he wrote that it was The Sound of Mucus. He didn't really love it. I honestly kind of feel like that shows on screen.
You think so?
I do feel like he seems kind of stiff and not into it.
That's interesting. I've never kind of like, I don't see it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I actually picked up on it pretty quick, and in my mind, what I think was happening, and I don't know much about Christopher Plummer. I don't know much about the behind the scenes stories of everything that was happening, but it almost seems like leading man syndrome, where he is being overshadowed by a main character, a female who is obviously the star of the show, and he's been kind of brought down to a sidekick level, a co-star, if you will. So he's obviously not as important. All eyes are on him, and I feel like the way he acts, it almost shows on screen that he feels that way. Oh, it doesn't make sense. I'm trying to convey that. Yeah.
Did you know that he felt that way about making the movie before you watched it?
So I did hear The Sound of Mucus thing, but I also read where later in life he talked about it being one of the best film experiences that he ever had. So yes, and good point. I mean, that could have been stuck in my head. That the sound of mucus thing could have been stuck in my head while I was watching it, and maybe I was picking up on things maybe that weren't there. But there are a couple of scenes where I do just kind of feel like he is kind of stiff, and I'm not saying he does a bad job. He's just kind of, I don't know. To me, it's not like leading man. He doesn't have that leading man confidence that I expected, I guess. So,
and that's interesting because I feel like the opposite.
No, let's go. I mean, that's what it's all about.
I don't know. Like, to me, I want to talk about the chemistry between Julie Andrews and him, because don't you feel like he kind of redeems it in those moments a little bit? Like, I feel like their chemistry is, I even felt it like as a kid. I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like I felt it, you know?
I do feel like they have good chemistry. I think the power is in Julie Andrews' performance and her charisma that makes you feel that way. So Julie Andrews does a phenomenal job. She's never really been someone I'm like ultra paying attention to in terms of like her career. Like I'm not like, Julie Andrews movie, I gotta go see this. But I will say her acting in this film and her charisma is definitely, I couldn't take my eyes away from her, and I think she played the character so well. She was kind of like tender and delicate, but also firm in her beliefs and her actions. It was almost more real to me. I think she has a very good singing voice. I think she has really good comedic timing and very good dramatic acting in terms of, yes, I think the chemistry was there between the two of them, but I do think the ball was in her court. I don't know how good of an actor he would have been with, I forget the people you said that could have been in the role, but how good he would have been with someone else.
Yeah.
Grace Kelly, yeah. I feel like Julie Andrews, because of her charisma, I feel like she was bringing that energy out of him. So it did work, and they did have good chemistry. But on his own, Christopher Plummer, in my opinion, did not hold it down the way I thought someone would.
That's so interesting to me. It's interesting because I really I surround myself with people who love this movie. So
Oh, no.
no, I mean, and obviously I surround myself with you too, but you hadn't watched all the way through. So it's interesting to hear different perspectives. And yeah, to me, the stiffness comes from the character. Like, that's the character and how he's supposed to be. And he's the strict guy who, is kind of hiding his true feelings about, missing his wife. And so to me, I'm like, oh, he's playing into that as opposed to like not into it. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, that's a good point, too. His character is definitely very, I don't know why my voice has got so deep. Yeah, it is a very stiff character for sure, and maybe, yeah. I mean, I could have been reading it all wrong. Again, I only watched it the one time, and
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's just my first take on it, and I'm glad to know that people think that he does a good job, that his character is pretty good for who he is.
Yeah.
The redeeming qualities is definitely their chemistry together, and obviously they get together in the end. So
Yeah.
that's all good and happy. But I mean, Julie Andrews is definitely the star of the show here, and if Christopher Plummer had a problem with that, I do feel like it might show a little bit. But Julie Andrews, honestly, I was impressed just by watching it. Every scene that she was in, I was definitely taken into the movie, and it's probably my favorite Julie Andrews role.
Yeah. That makes me so happy to hear you say that, because I just think she's such a gift, and I just think she's so captivating. And I obviously love Mary Poppins too. I don't know the last time you've seen Mary Poppins, or if you've ever seen Mary Poppins. Oh my God, you've never seen Mary Poppins?
I have seen Mary Poppins one time.
Ooh.
I hate it. I hate Mary Poppins. I hate it. I hate it. I will watch The Sound of Music again before I watch Mary Poppins again.
Oh my God. That's crazy. It's so funny because I never tell anybody this, but I base my management style off of Mary Poppins. I just
Shut the fuck up. That's so funny.
Firm but fun.
No, that's so funny. Wait, I love that. And the fact that you just told me this makes what I'm about to tell you even funnier. I was told by someone that I was too happy at work all the time, and that every day I can't treat as if I'm Mary fucking Poppins. And I was like, what?
But that's not Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is firm, but she
well, good. That's my argument.
Yeah. Yes. That's,
Yeah.
she makes things fun, but it never really seems like she's having fun.
Well, maybe I'm Maria then. I'm gonna be like, I'm Maria.
You're Maria. Yeah, because she makes everything fun.
Yeah, I'm a blast.
Yeah. One thing I did want to bring up that you brought up was the Baroness von Schrader and how you felt like more could have been developed there because as a kid watching it, I'm like, this woman's horrible. Like, how dare she even exist, kind of. And
Bitch.
then I think maturing is realizing that she was mature. Yes,
Sure.
her character is kind of like unlikable, but maturing is realizing that she's not a villain. And I think her relationship with Captain Von Trapp is very money driven. I don't think like they think they love each other in like a friendly way, but it's not like they're not in love with each other. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I completely agree with you. I just feel like her character was very underdeveloped,
Yeah.
and because I like that, I don't want to say it's not drama, but I do like that drama, that little bit of edge where what if she did, pull Maria to the side and been like, you stay away from my man. I see the way you're looking at him, bitch, and the other one punches the other. No, I'm just kidding. But I just thought there'd be a little bit more tension, regardless if it was love or money or whatever it might have been. I just feel like her character just seemed to me that it was so underdeveloped that I couldn't even decide if she was a good or a bad person. And I didn't really feel sorry for her because I don't really feel like she cared about anything. She was excited to get married, but then she was just like, meh, all right,
Yeah.
Maria, enjoy, have fun.
Well, and I think that she realized it was a very different life, especially like when she meets those 7 kids. It's a very different life than what she used to.
I would have been like, so long, farewell.
Yeah, I mean, she's almost a little too gracious when they break up. And my one of my favorite lines though is when she like Maria's like down by like the lake and then she goes, I know someone will never be a nun. Like almost like she has to be like, what you're looking for is right here.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like that was part of the weight of the film that I just couldn't really get into. Like when she was on
Yeah.
screen, it was the opposite. When she was on screen, I was like, oh, this is lame.
Honestly, her and Uncle Max had more chemistry.
Sure. And now Uncle Max, I actually liked Uncle Max. He was a fun character. I felt I related in, if we're speaking of male roles, I just feel like I related more to him than I would, the captain. But I feel like I usually end up going for the underdog type character anyway. So I feel like he had a lot of charisma with his acting.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm like I ship him and the Baroness a little bit. I think that should have
Yep.
been a thing.
It should have been a thing, 100%. I do want to bring up something you talked about in the synopsis of the film, and I was making fun of it at work today when
Oh, oh
Mar-
God.
Mar- Maria just like looks at the drapes and she's like, these would make wonderful outfits for everyone. And then I'm assuming it's the next morning, right? I feel like there's no like time lapse, but the
It's not
next
the
morning
next
she's
morning.
like, those 8 outfits came together real quick.
I don't think it was the next morning. The montage is kind of like over. I feel like the captain's gone for like a month.
Gotcha.
That's what it
Nah,
seems
that's
to me.
fair.
So I think it's like a gradual thing. But yes, I would like to believe that she whipped all those up in the night.
Listen, I was just like, why do you think those drapes are cute? Why did you decide that you're going to pull all these drapes on? When she tells him, he's like, where do you get those outfits or whatever he says? And she was like, oh, I got them from the drapes. I was like, and the look that he gives her, I'm like, I mean, same captain. What the hell? You have all these other things that you could have made, whatever. But hey, creativity. We love creativity. So you know what?
I
I'm sorry, I
love
take it
it.
back.
It's
Great job.
repurposing.
Repurposing
Repurposing.
that color and the look. I don't know. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah. Um,
Lauren's like, I hate you.
No, one moment that I do love that my sister would be so angry with me for not bringing up. That's like kind of got a resurgence lately, is when
Mhm.
they come home from their honeymoon and Captain Von Trapp sees that someone hung the Nazi flag and he rips it down and he rips it in half.
Yeah,
Iconic.
yeah, I was gonna say that's actually a very powerful moment. Not to get into politics, but especially in the world we live in today, I did appreciate that. One of the kids says something about it being a flag with a spider, right? Did I make that up?
I think so. I mean,
I
obviously the
thought that was
kids
funny.
are not, yeah,
Sure.
are not
No, I
like,
thought it was funny. Yeah, I thought that was. I think there was a kid being self-aware that maybe it wasn't a very good flag to begin with, and then like to refer
mhm.
to it as, I'm pretty sure they say spider, but to say something like that, I was like, ah, that's funny, that's cute, because it's self-awareness, but also not fully understanding. Like, you know that it's not something good, but you don't fully comprehend it, so that's how your brain
Yeah,
envisions it. So yeah, no, that is a powerful scene.
yeah.
Lots of
It's become,
definitely got with those.
yes. What did you think of the
Yeah.
beginning scene?
Well, Lauren, I'm glad you asked. The
Yeah.
beginning scene is, probably one of the most overall iconic moments and visuals from the film. Just her
Mm-hmm.
dancing in the fields, the mountains in the background. I feel like it definitely pulls you in. I feel like it's a great opener to the film, and it kind of lets you know the world that you're getting into. We have her singing, we have her outfit, her charisma is already pouring onto the screen. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really great. It definitely sucks you in right away. And I did like the opening. I thought it was a good opening. I think it's really pretty.
Yeah. Beautiful.
The cinematography of this film from
Mm-hmm.
Todd D. McCord is, for lack of better terms, breathtaking, because
Mm-hmm.
it's the fact that they filmed essentially on location to where the film takes place, capturing and being a part of that world, and actually again inside of that world, you definitely feel like you're there and you understand the beauty of it all, and her singing and twirling and knowing that the helicopter's blowing her over. It's a good scene. It's a good scene.
Mm-hmm. I also really want to know. Well, let's get to the songs. Um,
Okay.
I have my favorite songs. I want to know your favorite songs. Um, but first, I want to ask you, what was going through your mind when they did the marionettes and the yoda lady, yoda lady? What was going through your mind? I really want to know. I was like, oh God, Dave's going to hate this part.
I have never valued time and the loss that I.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. So it was like a horror movie in its own right. So yeah. But again, all jokes aside, in my personal opinions, for it being a family film, it works really well. I actually think that scene
Mhm,
is a little bit too long, and since we're getting into the music, a lot of the songs, in my opinion, are definitely too long. I know I said it earlier, but at some
mhm.
point in time, I'm just like, okay, like let's wrap this song up a little bit. I I just feel like you could have easily had a 3-minute song that we're turning into a 7-8 minute stretch. I know it's a musical, so we're adding the musical elements. We're adding the dance breaks in 16 going on 17, them dancing in
Mhm.
the gazebo. That's just my biggest thing. I like the music. I just feel like some of the music could have been a little bit shorter for the film version.
Okay. Okay. Um, let's talk about our favorites. Okay. So my top number one all-time favorite song from this movie is I Have Confidence. I love
Mm.
her waltzing through the honestly, I play this in my car if I have something big going on and I need to give myself a boost. It
I love that.
is
That's so Lauren. I
yeah.
love it.
I'll sing it in the shower. I love this song. That's my top. That's my top. Top. But also Edelweiss is beautiful. A beautiful song. Um and it's actually Edelweiss is actually the national flower of Austria. Um,
Oh,
and to me, one of the most moving scenes in this movie is at the end when they're performing, and Captain Von Trapp's voice breaks a little bit when he's singing it because he knows that he won't be back for a very long time, and that's when Maria comes and helps him along, and then the kids and then the audience starts singing. Like, to me it's a very powerful moment in the film.
yeah, that is a good moment. Yeah, I think the third act does have a lot of good moments, and I think it touches on more not happy-go-lucky things. They just don't ever quite go there, and
Yeah.
that moment is a good moment. So I definitely respect you liking that a lot.
What were some of your favorite songs, Dave? I'm curious.
So my favorite
Please tell me
song
you
will
have a favorite.
I would have to say, probably for nostalgia type things too. Um, I would say "So Long Farewell."
Okay.
When I was younger, I remember hearing that song a lot. I feel like it is in a lot of pop culture type things, in some capacity, maybe not in a full musical form. I'll say it sometimes, just saying goodbye to people. So I have to say it's probably my favorite song, just for that nostalgia of it all alone. I honestly didn't know this when I watched the movie, but it makes sense, and it's going to be dumb that I didn't know this. But the nun singing Maria at the beginning of the movie, I did not know that that song was from The Sound of Music. Is that
Wait,
weird?
really? How does the
Yeah, and
sun come like Maria?
I I know that song. I knew that song. I knew, I could hear the song in my head when they started singing it. I probably could have sang along. I was on the treadmill at that point in time, so it would have been super weird. But I was
Hmm.
like, oh, I never realized that this is from The Sound of Music. So
Yep.
I do like that song. And 16 going on 17 has a nostalgia thing for me as well, because I remember
Hmm.
my friends performing it in the musical in high school. I thought they had really good chemistry, and watching them perform it, and the kiss.
Hmm.
I love that song for that. So those are probably my three favorites, and obviously my favorite things is an iconic song. I didn't want to say that because I feel like that's the obvious go
Hmm.
to, but I was waiting for Ariana Grande to come out and start singing
No,
too,
no,
but that
no,
never
no, no, no,
happened.
no, 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 no. How did you feel about at the ending of 16 going on 17 when they finally
Oh,
kiss and Liesel goes, "Wee!" I feel like that's the only cringe moment for me of this movie.
yeah, I think I did like that they brought like some songs full circle, and they had other little moments to bring these songs into play. It definitely was a little bit more of a cringe moment there, but it in a weird way though, it
Mhm.
still kind of worked, and I think cringy moments in The Sound of Music definitely make sense. But I
It
agree.
does. It does. What
I
song did you absolutely hate?
Okay. I have two, but I don't want to
Oh,
say
great.
I absolutely hate it.
Mhm.
So my first is Do Re Mi, which obviously is an iconic
Yes.
song. But in the context of the film, that was one of the songs I felt like just kept fucking going and going. I'm like, I get it. I get it. And if it was that easy to learn a song, Maria, then we would all be singers, and it's fine. But I respect that song for what it is in pop culture. I think it's a very obvious choice as well for being a song that people love. Yeah, I don't know. It, it became a little repetitive and slightly annoying, so it's okay.
Yeah, so that is actually my least favorite song of the movie too.
Okay.
It
Okay.
I like the montage, I like seeing Salzburg, but it does go along too long, and it's kind of an annoying song. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of an annoying song.
Yeah.
So I only have one, and it's that it's that one. But everything else, The Hills Are Alive, so good. But yeah, that
Oh, that
song
is good. Yeah.
is yeah, not it for me.
Yeah. My my least favorite, and it's not that it's a bad song. When the captain performs Edelweiss for the first time, I don't like that scene. I was just like, okay. Plus, it's not him singing, and his lip
It's
syncing
not.
acting is so bad.
I was gonna bring that up. He
Yeah.
He does not sing in this film. Yeah.
His lip syncing to me is really bad acting. I was like, that doesn't even look like it's some Britney Spears shit. It doesn't even look like you're trying, buddy.
What are you talking about? Britney sings all her songs live.
That's right, I forgot.
Yeah. Dave. Oh. Yeah, no,
Love it.
it disappoints me that he's not actually singing in this. To me, I don't know why. That's where I feel like maybe like a Bing Crosby would have been maybe better in this role.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
I
Yeah.
can't see it because I'm just so used to this, but the voice is such a big part of it, and especially going against someone like Julie Andrews, you know, you got to bring it.
You gotta bring it. So many iconic songs, a lot of things that you can sing along with, even if you don't know the full songs. That there's no doubt
Yeah.
about it. It's a good musical.
Yeah. Yeah. So that being said, just some final thoughts for me on this. I don't know. I just get like I keep saying it. I just get such like a heartwarming, like loving feeling from this movie, and I know a lot of people feel the same way about it that I do, and I'm just so glad that it's such a big part of pop culture and just culture in general. And I think they even like it was one of those movies they would play like on Christmas Eve or something like that. Just like a feel good movie. I can't say enough good things about it. There's literally nothing I would change about it. I just love it so much. But again, rose colored glasses.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, I know what it's like to love a movie a lot, and to want to talk about it a lot and really get all of that out of there.
Any final thoughts for you, Dave?
I do stick with my 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
I mentioned I don't think it's a bad movie at all. I think it is a good movie. It's not necessarily a movie for me, but I can respect the five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 comes from the music's good. Julie Andrews does a great job. It's visually stunning. The director Robert Wise definitely knew what he was doing when making this film, and its legacy in pop culture is really unmatched, especially in the musical landscape. Everybody knows what The Sound of Music is. Everyone knows at least one, if not 3 to 5 songs from The Sound of Music. Love it or hate it, you can't escape it. So I do respect The Sound of Music for what it is. I did enjoy it. I don't necessarily think it's something I will revisit in the near future. I'm not opposed to watching it again at some point in time. Maybe down the road we can do a revisit of The Sound of Music and see how I feel, and maybe we can invite a couple other people on, like your sister, and get a couple different opposing views of, maybe grab a couple people. I'm pretty neutral with it, so maybe we can find a couple people who loathe it and see what they think, and other people who absolutely love it and have a bigger, broader discussion. Because, I mean, it just celebrated its 60th anniversary, correct?
60th year. Yeah. Yep.
60
It just wasn't your
years.
cup of tea, Dave,
It wasn't my cup of tea.
Tea? What is tea in Doadir? Tea, a drink with jam and bread.
Oh, well, I didn't get jam or bread with this experience, but so that was kind of a lie. I do appreciate you introducing me to the wonderful world of The Sound of Music, and I'm happy that I watched it, and I think doing an episode like this with you is great. And the fact that you took my microphone away from me to make this episode and take over the hosting duties is fun. I appreciate it.
This was a little payback for all those horror movies.
Just think what's to come next, Lauren. Just
I
think
know.
what's
I
next.
feel like you're gonna up it a notch.
Thank you for introducing me to The Sound of Music, and I'm happy that you love this musical, and you talk about it with such passion, and that's what I love about this podcast. We can talk about the movies that we love and hear another person's reaction to that movie, and I was excited to be on the other side of it all, to watch a movie for the very first time and talk it out with you. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's hard to imagine that you haven't seen every single movie on the face of the planet. So
I mean, I might have now. I might have covered them all. No, I'm just kidding. We can definitely do this again sometime down the road. I'm sure you can find another movie that you absolutely love that may not be my cup of tea that you can heat up a little bit to be my cup of tea. Maybe we'll find a movie that you love that I'm gonna rate 5.5 out of 10.
get ready for some Pixar.
Oh, well, I do love me some Pixar, but there are some Pixar movies I haven't seen, so we can probably do this.
Okay.
Perfect. Anything else you want to say? Anything else you got for me, host?
So long, farewell to you and you and you.
Hey. That's what I was waiting for. But no, seriously, Lauren, thanks again. I think you did a great job hosting. Don't come for my job. And I always look forward to doing episodes with you. So thanks again. You did a great job. So thanks for taking over.
Thanks for watching The Sound of Music.
I can't wait to not watch it. No, I'm just kidding. I enjoyed it. It's definitely worth a watch, and I can't guarantee that everyone who's listening to this podcast or listens to the podcast in general is going to love it, but I can guarantee you that it's going to be a quasi fun ride. You won't be bored out of your mind, so definitely check it out. It's definitely worth a watch in my opinion, and you'll find some enjoyment from it, and you might leave singing a song or two. Can't go wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with a little music. Except for me. No one wants to hear that. I've been told that my whole life, apparently. It's fine. Well, Lauren, seriously, thanks again for taking the reins of this episode, introducing me to The Sound of Music. I appreciate you, and I'm happy I got to watch one of your favorite movies of all time. I hope I didn't hurt your feelings too much with my honest take on the film.
I've rated some of the films you've made me watch a lot worse, so I'll take it.
Perfect. So you're not going to watch Election again. Is that what you're saying?
F no.
Okay. All right. Well, I tried. So, all right, Lauren, seriously, thanks again. Everyone listening, please have a great night and go find a hill somewhere and start your twirling. Hope a helicopter comes along and whooshes you right down the hill. That's all we can think about.
That's all I can hope for.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Lauren, have a good night. Everyone for listening, thank you so much. And we'll see you next time. Bye.